Welcome to my next predictions video as we have UFC 309 taking place on Saturday, November 16th. Just getting you my predictions for the main card. And remember, as always, that the card is subject to change, and I'm recording this video on Thursday night, November 7th, just for reference in case a fight gets canceled. Before I give my predictions, though, I just want to cover a few things. If you're a fan of the UFC and you want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm because you like fight reactions and fight predictions, make sure that you hammer fist that like button, share this video with a friend, put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are on UFC 309. Predictions that you have, thoughts on my crazy predictions, any future fight predictions that you have, or future fights for 2025 that you think will happen. And remember, I react to fights as well. Come back to this channel about an hour-ish after the fight card is over with, and I'll post my first reaction to UFC 309, which should be Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Unless, of course, I get a copyright claim, which tends to happen when there's a 5-round fight. There's nothing I can do about it. I'll dispute it right away, and then it takes 48 hours for the video to be viewable. So if you don't see a fight that you think should... Obviously, I'm going to put the more popular fights first. If you don't see a fight that you think should happen right away on the channel, there's a reason why. I'll post something in the community tab on the channel to let people know. And no, some people think that I'm reacting to the fights after the fights happen when that happens. That is not the case, and if I have to put a screenshot of the email that I get, I definitely can do that if you think that's the case. And of course, at the end of this video, I'll put my reactions to some good fights from 2024 right here, right here, right here, and right here at the end screen, again with about 20 seconds left to go in the video. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You are watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDev TV. Kicking things off in the lightweight division, we have Mauricio Rufy versus James Leontov. This should be a really good fight. It's been elevated to the main card. Obviously, Leontov has a gas tank. He has really good cardio. He's been unlucky in his last couple fights. He was a highly touted prospect coming into the UFC and being on the Contender Series, where Rufy is really good. Now, I will warn you, I'm mostly unfamiliar with these guys going into this card, but I did my film study, watched a few fights here and there, and I was watching Rufy versus Jamie Mullarkey, and I'm like, God, he reminds me of Conor McGregor. Obviously, a higher weight class, but his stance at times reminded me to Conor McGregor. And then, like, lo and behold, a few minutes later, Dean Thomas, who did his usual random, analysis during the fight for like 30 seconds, said, young Conor McGregor. So he destroyed Jamie Mullarkey, in my opinion. Caught him with some really good shots. And in this fight, with the fact that he is the older fighter, but these guys are young guys, and I think they could be good guys coming up in the division. I mean, the lightweight division is stacked, and Rufy could really be a stud in the lightweight division. So I'm going to go with Rufy to win this fight. He is the betting favorite. I would like to see James win a fight again. It's been, he was highly touted, especially going into the Contender Series, and now he's lost 2 in a row. But I think Rufy gets the job done. I think this could be a potential candidate for fight of the night, depending on how long it lasts. But I'm going to go with Rufy to win the fight. And then next up, in the women's flyweight division, we have Viviane Araújo versus Karine Silva. I'm not very familiar with these fighters. Of course, I did my study. I watched some film on them. Araújo is the older fighter. She has a slight reach advantage. She obviously is really good with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She's got some good strikes. Not super good strikes, but she's got some. Silva is really good from what I've seen. She's the younger fighter. She's 30 years old versus 37. She's got good strikes. She can take you down. She's got really good submissions. And I think ultimately that Silva will get the job done and probably submit Araújo in the fight. And Silva is the betting favorite. I don't like to pick all favorites, and I always try to pick one fight, different than what the betting odds are. So I think Silva wins this fight. And then next up in the middleweight division, we have the prospect that Dana White just loves, and Bo Nickel versus Paul Craig. I mean, obviously, Bo Nickel is a huge favorite in this fight. It's actually the same betting odds as Rufy versus Leontov. Paul Craig he's lost a lot of fights lately. He's lost, I think, 4 out of his last 5 fights, but he's very skilled. He's a very good submission artist in the UFC. He's really big too, but Bo Nickel is really good. Does he want to get on the ground with Paul Craig is the question. I think in this fight, Bo Nickel is going to try to utilize more striking to keep this fight standing up. Of course, what do I know? Maybe Craig's on his way out and Bo Nickel takes him down with ease and, submits him or, TKOs him with hammer fist or something like that. So I'm going to go with Bo Nickel to win the fight. I know, not a very, it's not surprising, but I just don't think that Paul Craig is going to win this fight. In fact, I don't know how many fights that Paul Craig has left in the UFC. But he could prove me wrong, and I think if there's a dark horse pick, you could pick Paul Craig and potentially win a lot of money because Paul Craig has beat Magomed Ankalaev before with 1 second to go in a fight. So you never know what can happen, and that's why they have the fight. But I am going to go with Bo Nickel to win the fight. And then next up in the UFC lightweight division, I love the lightweight division, you have Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler 2. Chandler is on a long layoff. Obviously, he wanted to fight Conor McGregor, and he waited, and he waited, and he waited. He hasn't fought in 2 years, I believe, or was it December of 2022 when he fought Dustin Poirier, which was an awesome fight, and Chandler won the first 2 rounds, I think. That first round was crazy until he got submitted by Dustin Poirier. Charles Oliveira, masterclass, excellent at submissions, pretty good grappler as well. His striking is much underrated than people think it is. He knocked Justin Gaethje down. He stunned Poirier. He finished Chandler in their first fight. Michael Chandler needs to win this fight. If he doesn't win this fight, he probably won't fight Conor McGregor. Chandler has had time to heal from fights, the Justin Gaethje fight, the Dustin Poirier fight, and maybe Chandler's chin will be good. Not that Chandler has a bad chin, but a lot of times he gets knocked down in fights. He got knocked down by Tony Ferguson, as a matter of fact, if memory serves me correctly. But then he had that kick that KO'd Tony Ferguson. Because, like Max Holloway in his last fight against Ilia Topuria, everybody's chin eventually gets defeated by Father Time. But I'm going to go with the surprise one. I think this is a really close fight, and I like to try to at least pick one fight that is opposite of what the betting odds say. And right now the betting odds are going with Charles Oliveira to win it. I'm going to say that Michael Chandler wins this fight because he has to win. And he looked really good against Charles Oliveira in the last fight. Remember, Charles Oliveira had his back, and Chandler turned around because he's such a small, compact guy and, hurt Oliveira. And he had him reeling at the end of that first round. But then Oliveira knocked him out in the second round, which surprised the shit out of me. So I'm going to go with Michael Chandler in their second fight. I know, probably a dumb pick, but I have to go with somebody to pull up an upset. And Michael Chandler absolutely, positively needs this fight to either get Conor McGregor, or this fight actually might get the winner of Islam Makhachev versus Arman Tsarukyan. We don't know, but I'm going to go with Michael Chandler. Yes, I know, I love Chandler. He's one of my favorite fighters. But I think somehow, some way, he's going to get the job done. And we'll see. But hopefully it's a really good fight. That's all I really want. And then, of course, in the main event of the evening, in the UFC heavyweight division, we have the former champion, Stipe Miocic. It's either Miocic or Miocic. Some people say it differently. Versus the champion, the GOAT of the UFC. Dana White would agree with that statement. Jon Bones Jones. Now, obviously, Jon Jones is the favorite in this fight. He beat Ciryl Gane in his last fight in March of 2023. Stipe hasn't fought in a while. The last fight he had was against Francis Ngannou, and Francis knocked his lights out. Jon Jones, obviously, against Ciryl Gane, didn't really face any adversity. His biggest adversity in that fight was opening 10-second nut shot that he said didn't really hurt, but he just wanted them to stop it to know, hey, he already kicked me once in the balls. If he does it again, maybe I can get a cheap point taken away. So Stipe, with the fact that he's old, he's 42 years old now, he hasn't fought in a while, don't count Stipe out in this fight. I know it sounds crazy, but Stipe is a very skilled fighter. He's arguably the best heavyweight of all time. At the moment, I would probably say Francis Ngannou is the best heavyweight of all time. But Stipe is definitely really good. He's got, obviously good boxing. He's decent at grappling. He's got good wrestling. I think he's better at wrestling against bad wrestlers, though, where, of course, you're facing John Jones, who's not the most powerful fighter, but he's still got good striking. He's a good point fighter, which obviously sometimes can be boring. John Jones is great at submissions, and John Jones is a Greco-Roman wrestling all-star, essentially. So I'm going to go with John Jones. Obviously, John Jones is my favorite fighter of all time. Again, don't count Stipe out, but look what, everybody was saying that Jones was going to lose to Cyril Gane. Obviously, people aren't saying that against Stipe, but you never know what can happen. But Jones made short work of Cyril Gane, because Cyril Gane apparently didn't train for anything wrestling related. Or he did, and maybe he went out partying the weekend of the fight, or the week before the fight. I don't know what happened with that Cyril Gane fight, because it didn't even look like he tried to get to his feet against John Jones. But I'm going to pick John Jones to win because it's just John Jones. Now, obviously, I do want John Jones to fight again. I agree with John Jones. I just don't think, I know Tom Aspinall's ragdolled everybody thus far. I don't think that's a bigger fight. If Alex Pereira wants to fight for heavyweight, you put the heavyweight champion, John Jones, against the light heavyweight champion who's trying for his third title. I would rather see that fight just because, it would be a huge fight. Obviously, if Jones fights Aspinall, that would be great too, but just based on what John Jones is saying, I don't think it's ever going to happen. Obviously, Pereira has fought higher ranked guys, or higher skilled guys, fought more champions than Tom Aspinall, and I think Aspinall is fighting guys in a very weak division. The heavyweight division is very weak right now, and he has yet to fight Cyril Gane. I'd like to see what happens if Gane fought Aspinall, what would happen in that. But you've heard my predictions already. I know I'm going John Jones. A lot of you don't like that, so let me know what you think. Remember to hammer fist the like button. Share the video with a friend. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. What are your predictions for UFC 309? Any future fights that you think will happen in 2025? Your fighter of the year. Who's better, Ilia Topuria or Alex Pereira? Obviously, Topuria has knocked out Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway, so that's pretty awesome. But Topuria, or Pereira, has saved the UFC against Yuri Prochazka, Jamal Hill, and Khalil Roundtree. So let me know what your thoughts are for fights at 2025. I'll put my fight reactions that are fun highlights for here, and here. Come back to the channel for my reactions for UFC 309. And last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, show your damn support, and be a part of something special. And you never know what you're going to see on JDEV TV.